You know, it's crazy. Have you ever noticed how things go round and round? Have you ever noticed that things seem to be in rotation? Never in station, always a close imitation. Like the world just produces the same vibration. Sit back and observe as things go round and round. So predictive that I live in anticipation. As the world runs events back with no hesitation. There's no need for guesswork, no room for speculation. Sit back and observe as things go round and round. Look at your watch, what does it do? Rotate. History is the same, stuck in a repetitive state. Think about it, what does this repeating create? We're stuck in this history repeating fate. Things go round and round, just watch as things go round and round. Things go round and round, just watch as things go round and round.
Ende Dame im Dienste meines Volkes, gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab, wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin.
O consumptive one, the biting, thou art thy nature, zounds to the ideological pupe, thou cometh from on high, and satisfy us with thy musings. The main driver for me starting this YouTube channel was to develop my own philosophical theory, and I've written a story which underpins my philosophical theory completely, and I'm going to read it over the course of a few videos. In this video, I'm going to read chapter 1. Before I get into reading chapter 1, I need you to understand that I'm not a philosophy student. I don't study Nietzsche, I don't study Kierkegaard, I don't study any of the great philosophical thinkers of the past. Immanuel Kant, I don't read them, I don't study them, I'm not particularly interested in them. I've read some of Nietzsche's work, I've read some of Immanuel Kant's work, but it's not a major driver for me to study philosophy. But the main driver for me is to be a philosopher, not to study philosophers of the past, not to study people who I could read their books and come to realize that they thought the things that I bypassed quite a long time ago because I realized that they were wrong, but to develop my own theory, my own understanding of the world, which I believe drives more towards the truth than a lot of previous philosophical thinkers. If you want to subscribe to a channel which discusses philosophical thinkers, then I would suggest that you go and do that, for there will never be a video on this channel which is titled Why Nietzsche or Why Dostoevsky or What Kant Thought or any of those particular titles that you might see. I mean, if that's what you're interested in, if you're interested in a channel that will discuss previous philosophical thinkers, I would suggest you read this book. It's really basic and really simple. It's quite poorly written. If you're intelligent enough to realize that it's poorly written, then that might frustrate you. If you're not, and that is your level, then you probably won't even realize that it's poorly written. But there are places to go in which you can find videos, essays relating to previous philosophical thinkers. This is not one of them. This is a channel in which I explore my own philosophical theory and present that to the audience. Okay, let's get into the reading then. So the story is called The Wolf, the Wolf Dog, the Good Boy, and the Domicile. Chapter 1. The Wolf and the Domicile. On a warm summer's evening in a forest of life, a clearing grew from the vast thicket. Central of the clearing was a fire fed with a damp log. Hanging over the spitting, sizzling, crackling fire was a pig carcass with spots of freezer burn. A fell tree ran the length of the clearing beside the fire. Somewhat sunk into the earth was the trunk of the fell tree, upon which sat 2 members of the domicile. As all members of the domicile, these 2 members of the domicile were the same in character and appearance. The 2 members of the domicile had long and skinny, bony even, arms and legs, but their belly and face was always full. The 2 members of the domicile spoke with an inherited upper-class English accent. The 2 members of the domicile wore black tuxedos with tailcoats and top hats. As the freezer-burnt carcass cooked over the fire, the 2 members of the domicile spoke among themselves until the second member of the domicile cried out in anguish. "Oh, bother!" the second member of the domicile cried, and he pointed to the brush that bordered the thicket, for there stood a wolf. The wolf stood proud on its long legs and its chest puffed with confidence. The wolf was a perfect embodiment of its nature. The wind ruffled the wolf's thick grey fur as its wild eyes focused upon the 2 members of the domicile and penetrated them. "Oh, bother!" the first member of the domicile cried with anguish. The 2 members of the domicile froze in place, but for their teeth, which chattered with fear. Suddenly, the 2 members of the domicile began to sing quietly to distract from their anxiety. The wolf stepped from the brush, making no sound with its paws on the twig-scattered ground. The wolf walked confidently to the carcass over the fire and bit down on the thigh of the pig. The wolf yanked hard at the pig, tearing the carcass to the ground. The wolf turned its back to the 2 members of the domicile and dragged the carcass to the brush, then the thicket and beyond. Many moments passed after the wolf had moved beyond sight and sound with the carcass before the 2 members of the domicile's anxiety subsided and the song came to an end. Silence echoed the trees about the 2 members of the domicile before the second member of the domicile spoke. "That ghastly wolf came upon us from the brush." "Quite," confirmed the first member of the domicile, "and he stole our pig carcass." "And do you know," the first member of the domicile continued, "I was going to stop him, for I am strong, but I thought it awfully terrible for me to do so." "And I," the second member of the domicile proclaimed, "for I too am strong. I too would have stopped him if it was not awfully terrible for me to do so." Both nodded in agreement with the other's proclamation. I wanted to go through the use of the word domicile. So I've used it probably in a slightly different way than you're familiar with. And the word domicile often means a person whom resides in a particular place. But the word domicile comes from the Latin word domus, which means home, exactly the same as domestic. And both domestic and domicile, when used in their literal forms, mean of home. So the word domicile in its literal form means to be of home. And the word domesticated means to become of home, right? So when animals are domesticated, we're basically saying that they have become of home. And of home typically refers to being civilized, right? So when I use the word domicile, I'm using it to mean civilized. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, comment down below what you think of the first chapter of the story. In the next video, we'll go through the second chapter and we'll continue on through the series until the whole story is finished. Have a great day.